I am joined virtually by Dr. Ogan Wekesa of the School of Economics Cooperative University of Kenya. Happy New Year, Daktari.
Oh, Happy New Year.
How was Christmas? How was Christmas?
Christmas has been the normal Christmas. There has been nothing peculiar for this particular Christmas. And I believe it is the same case for the Kenyans. Unless something peculiar happened for specific people, but generally speaking, people experience the long season that they have had.
Thank you very much, Dr. Now, January is usually a strategic month for this country, or others referring to it as January, like hunger perspective. Now, we have just come from festivities and Kenya spending so much on Christmas and then having struggles on January. How well can someone plan for January?
Thank you there in the studio. I believe every Kenyan knows that January comes after the festivities. So reasonable Kenyans, they expect the same things. The same January we are experiencing now has been there before. But since it's a month that follows heavy expenditure, certain things may not be the same as the other months. So we would expect many parents, some young parents taking for the first time kids to Form 1, others taking kids to Grade 1 for the first time, others taking kids to PP1. It is so schooling is a key factor, and of course the rest of the expenses, they are normal. They do not depend on whether it's January or it's not. Like food, you always. But January being a very unique month, there are certain things that happen which never happen in other months. Like I've just mentioned, we have new parents taking kids for the first time to school, from kindergarten to Grade 1, and then we have Form 1. So the best thing to do under normal circumstances, since you are aware of January is coming, we need to put kids in schools we can afford. You don't need expensive school for the purpose of peer pressure. So do things in moderation and not experience any pressure. So take kids to affordable school, probably within your neighborhood, as it's a school where kids are taught and they do well in exams. I know also most Kenyans, they rent, very few of Kenyans own homes. So you ought to plan and rent a place where
now, Dr. Why is
you do not pay more than do not pay more than of your basic salary.
Now, Dr.
Yes.
Dr.
So try to live within your means. Yes.
Now, considering you are an expert in economics, maybe you can tell us why financial education is important. Of course, there are some of us who did not learn that in school. Others didn't even do business. They don't know how to manage their finances. And why is it important? And is it important to have this financial education?
I believe that financial literacy is very important for survival, or as a matter of life skill. Everyone should have financial literacy. So that so that you are able to live within your means. You need to understand that your income is fixed, but expenses may be changing. Expenses may be going upward. So with the financial literacy, you can find a way to adjust your expenditure so that you do not spend beyond your income. So media and other social entities have a responsibility to perpetuate financial literacy to the society, so that if all Kenyans are financially literate, then we shall have less problems, less social problems.
And now we have the president recently bringing in the Hustler Fund and talking about and bringing a point about saving. Now, talk to us about savings and why it is important. Dr.
Yeah, is something. Saving is almost a must, regardless of the amount of one is earning. So, as a matter of financial we can't just be carefree. So regardless the amount of income currently say a certain percentage, maybe or whatever percentage, you must at least save regularly, so that you are able even to borrow, you improve your borrowing capacity, because some lenders, like cooperative societies, lend you loans on the basis of the amount you save, so that if you don't save, then you are locked out of the credit market. Specifically for service, you will not access which is the cheapest. So it's very critical that Kenyans develop the discipline of saving. And of course, you can borrow. You borrow wisely, so that you borrow in order to improve your capacity to earn income, not just to spend.
And now let's acknowledge that we're living in tough times with the high cost of living, and then we are in this month, of course, where there's restructuring in companies, others being cut off and losing their jobs, others enrolling their kids for the first time in school. There's a lot of expenses in between, and there's dependency on those people who don't have jobs. Now, we don't even have enough to spend. How do we get ourselves then into saving?
You know, we can only talk about saving where there is income. So you go handouts and then you save. That's not practical. So saving is something that is relevant to those who have an income, and we appreciate that the organizations are going through, or many organizations are facing challenges, and therefore deciding to lay off people. That is something that can happen even in this January. So when that happens, Kenyans have a duty to find alternatives, because nobody will die because he has been laid off. So the best thing to do is, if you have some small savings, you can start something like a small business. You cannot lack what to do. Kenya is a free country, and we are lucky that you can do anything within the law to make money. You can sell eggs, you can boil eggs and sell, you'll go home with 500 shillings profit. You can sell smokies. There are many opportunities. Kenyans have limitless opportunities. Only less people will keep crying of unemployment. Although it's good to be formally employed, but in the event it happens that you have been laid off, the best thing is to think of the next thing to do, regardless of your educational background or your social status. You will always find something to do. That's the bit of Kenya, yes.
And now we have talked about savings, of course, where you have commended it, saying saving should be done. But what are the notable ways for saving? And of course, considering gone are the days where you put money under your bed, you have to look for these circles or maybe the organization. And we have seen cases where circles are running away with people's money. Then which is the proper means for a Kenyan and therefore a Njiko out there who doesn't know about saving and the strategy to follow? And the strategy to follow, Daktari, are you getting me? And the strategies to follow.
Yes, now, yes.
Yes, thank you, Daktari. Now, I was saying, what are these notable ways?
So,
Yes, Daktari?
Sorry, I lost you at one point. At one point.
Now, I was saying, you had mentioned earlier that you are in for saving, and of course, as long as there's an income coming in, there is need to save. Now, what are the notable ways for saving? Because gone are the days you hide money under your pillow, under your mattress. You have to look for this organization. You have seen cases of circles going away with people's money. Which is the proper means for someone to invest, to save? Where should they save this money?
Yeah, the best strategy to save is to look for accessible financial institutions like SACCOs, that is savings and credit cooperative societies, where you are forced by even the peers to contribute as a matter of obligation, because one time you will need to borrow, so you can save through cooperative societies. You can also open a bank account, which we call deposit account, where you can earn a small interest as you keep saving regularly. You can also save with the insurance companies, in which they can invest money for you. They have the expertise to invest, which you lack, so you cannot earn better than the experts. So the best thing is to save through formal systems where experts can help you improve your wealth by investing on.
Thank you, Daktari, for those details. Now I would like us to move a bit and talk about not just that one person. Let's just talk wholly about Kenya's economy. Now you have Kenya's national debt reached about 72.1 billion US dollars. Now, is it the quantity of debt? And then, has Kenya borrowed for the right reason? And is Kenya on the verge of an economic crisis due to unsustainable public debt?
At this point, the issue of sustainability is not very critical, because Kenya has never collapsed. We have not reached any crisis point. In fact, some economists, they have borrowed 3 times what we have borrowed, and they are doing well. So the important thing is that when a country borrows money, it should borrow for investing in economic activities that will improve the quality of life for its citizens, improve the capacity of the country to create employment, so that the capacity of the country even to earn more money will be improved. So just like an individual, healthy by depending on everyone, he has debts, and people who are poor, most of them have no debts. So we have a concept that we call leveraging. So you borrow, invest in productive activities that increase the wealth. So for our nation, there is no alarm we can raise concerning borrowing. The country should continue borrowing whenever it's necessary, so that
yes, Doctor.
We have capacity, we are able to, so that we are competitive as a country. Yeah, that's the main.
Now on
the finance.
On that note,
Yes.
Daktari, the clock is ticking. The
Yeah.
cost of inflation is now at 9.2%. Of course, that was told in September 2022. Then what miracle can happen to bring down the cost of living? Can some relief come? Can you give us your thoughts on the same?
Oh, sorry.
Daktari, are you
It's the
getting me?
challenge of connectivity.
Are you able to get me perfectly?
Oh, sorry.
Now, on that note, of course,
I hear. Yes, I hope I'm now audible.
yes, you are audible.
Am
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. Yes.
Your question is about inflation.
Yes,
What
yes.
can be done
Yes.
to bring down the rate of inflation?
Correct, Daktari.
Well, yes, the government can come up with the which will, in the long run, help bring down the cost of goods. You see, prices are high because production cost is high. That is the challenge. So if there is a way we can deal with the production cost, then we might be in a position to reduce the price of goods. And so, to me, generally, we have a number of strategies the government can come to ensure that the production cost for the manufacturers and other people providing services to Kenyans, the cost is reduced. So, as the government has always insisted, production is key. So, if we can reduce cost of production, then the cost of goods will be reduced. But in the short run, which might not be sustainable, one way of reducing cost of goods is
Yes, Daktari.
to subsidize, that it becomes cheaper and affordable.
Now, from where you sit, Daktari, I'd like you to just give us an opinion of your view of what
Connectivity.
I can hear you perfectly, and my question is, from where you sit, what is ailing Kenya's economy? Is it something political or is it something economic? You would expect that Kenya, we are having oil in Turkana, we have fertile lands, and there is a lot of investment that can be done and to grow our economy. What is ailing the economy from where you sit, Daktari?
To me, the main problem we have in this economy is policy framework that will help productivity of the productive industries. Yeah, to me it's a matter of policy, and of course corruption, which makes it difficult for people to do business in Kenya, and also to compete fairly. It becomes hard. So if government can deal with the policy issue and the corruption, it will be easy to grow the economy. And all Kenyans can actually have jobs with the potential to create jobs for all employed Kenyans. We have what it takes. So we can do what's required. And it's possible to deal with our challenges because our challenges are man-made and not natural. We have rain, we have free rain, which in some regions it's 8 months a year. So we don't get irrigation. We should do maize farming where there is rain. Where there is no rain, we can do other things that don't require water. So it's a matter of policy and dealing with the issue of corruption. We can do that, we can take it to the bank that our economy will be very good.
Yes, Daktari, and of course, thank you for giving us those analyses and details on the same. And I'd like you, as you wind up and give us...
Hope you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. Now, as we come to conclusion and you give us your parting shot, I'd like you to comment about concern, of course, about the cutting of the budget of Kenya by 300 billion. This is following a directive from the president, and we have others concerned about the public workers sector, salaries may be affected. And then how can that be navigated in terms of improving the economy?
If that can actually be realized, you can imagine saving every year or beginning this year, if we can save 300 billion, because most of the expenditure is wasteful. Most of the money being targeted is wasted on hotels, meetings, workshops, traveling with no benefit to the Kenyans. You spend a lot of taxpayers' money on wasteful things that have no value to Kenyans. So the government is concerned that it's possible we can save that wasteful expenditure, and to the estimation of government, 300 billion can be saved. So if that happens, then the 300 billion can be used to improve infrastructure, can be used to invest in manufacturing. We have many industries that have collapsed that require injection of capital, like Munias sugar, soya sugar, soy in Nyanza, and many others. So if we can revive these industries using the money that is targeted to be saved, 300 billion, we can employ more than 1 million youths. If that can be realized, it is possible to create jobs for more than 1 million youths.
And now, as there's a lot to talk about the economy, there's a lot to talk about January. Just to conclude and give us your parting shot briefly, I'd like you to comment on how to organize the spending this unforgiving month when it comes to finances for those wananchi out there who are taking their children to school. Just comment on managing finances on January, and then give us your parting shot as we conclude, Dr.
As I had hinted from the beginning, success is in planning. Nobody knows how much he earns or she. Therefore, you should plan on how to live within the income that you are making. Most people are driven their needs by peer pressure and other things external to themselves. So the best is to relax and set your situation, and you will be okay, because there is no small income. Every income is so you adjust and live within it. If it is schools, do not take kids to expensive schools that you cannot afford. Take inventory and assess yourself whether you can pay without struggling. If yes, take. If there are many alternatives, the good thing is that there are many choices when it comes to school. Food also, do not kill yourself with the expensive food. You can live comfortably on cheap food. You can eat githeri or these ordinary things and still survive. So the key thing in January is that look at your income and find a way to live according to that income.
Thank you very much, Dr. for joining us this evening. Of course, that was Dr. Organ Wekesa of the School of Economics, Cooperative University, an expert in the field. And of course, we do hope next time he'll not just join us virtually, but he can join us live on studio.